Guide me among those whom thou hast guided aright, and preserve me among those whom thou hast preserved, and befriend me among those whom thou hast befriended. Bless me in whatsoever thou dost grant me, and deliver me from the evil of what thou hast judged. Surely thou judgest, and none can judge against thee, and he whom thou befriendest is not disgraced. Blessed art thou, O Lord, and exalted be thee above what they set up besides thee. I bear witness, nothing deserves to be served besides thee, and I bear witness that Muhammad is thy servant and apostle. Amen.
You're tuned in to the Mind of an Entrepreneur show with your host, myself, Sajdah Wendy Muhammad. I am a multi-million-dollar business developer. I have developed business and real estate around the world, and I want to share with you my mental strategies, my technical strategies, and how I made it in the world of business. So I don't teach theory. I tell you about my life and introduce you to people who can also share with you what they've done to become successful. This is a practical show. This ain't a theory show. You don't want to miss it. So stay tuned. Greetings, family. Peace and blessings. Welcome. Happy Wednesday. I have had an incredible last couple of days. It's been so hugely spiritual. Look, you're tuned into the Mind of an Entrepreneur show, and you got me today by myself. I'm the host. Some of you have been complaining because you don't get me all to yourself. Well, today is one of those days, and I want to break down my new message, which is to support emerging new market leaders and industry disruptors. Get you some coffee, some tea. You know, this show was initially set up during this time of day because people like to have something during their lunch hour that they can, check out. And so we just kind of got used to this time of the day. Look, being an entrepreneur is a journey. It takes courage. It takes commitment. It takes consistency. It takes imagination. It takes strength. It takes all those things and then some, especially if you're a marginalized person. Personally, I'm no stranger to marginalization. As a woman, as a Black woman, as a Black Muslim woman, as a creative, as someone who has always has special gifts, I know what it feels like to be pushed outside of a circle and that I, wanted to be in, whether it was a corporate circle or a social circle. That comes with the territory, right? So I set out to help those who feel that way too. And to just tell you it's okay. And it's actually a good thing. And God then gave me inspiration for a book, a podcast, webinars, and a whole host of other products and services, a movement designed to help those that I was packaging up as marginalized people. And I'll get to that little shift here in a minute. My mission was and is to help marginalized people around the world gain access to tools and strategies that will help us to become stronger, healthier, happier, wealthier, and to experience more love. You all have heard me say that hundreds of times, probably thousands of times, if you've been a fan of this show over the years. But then a few months ago, it hit me. I was inspired something said to me, consider the time. See, for years, I have been focused on an important instruction and foundation theme given to us by the Honorable Elijah Muhammad that says the Black man and woman must get up and do something for themselves. I took it on as a mission, as an instruction, as a slogan. So you may have heard me say things like join my mailing list by texting do for self, DO the number 4 SELF to 855-574-9099. That's my shameless plug. And of course, you should still do that. I had started working to build a model using mental strategies that will help make doing for self infectious. I've been encouraging the creation of millionaire and billionaire conscious entrepreneurs rooted in a mindset, okay, that will make us profit with a purpose, solve problems, and introduce much needed goods and services into our communities. But what if that tide has turned? What if there is a major economic shift happening and marginalized people are now becoming emerging new market leaders and industry disruptors? Think about that. I want to go real quick to a commercial that I'm going to show. Welcome to everyone here today. I want to go real quick to a commercial. This is going to be one of those shows that you're going to have to go back and listen to and maybe even take some notes. Okay. And I say do that real quick because this is a juicy topic. And sometimes they take down this economic stuff that I've been doing. So just pay attention. All right. So we're going to go real quick to a commercial. I'm going to come back and we're going to settle in and we're going to dig into this topic. All right. Be right back.
You belong to yourself. You're an independent people, created from the nation of free people. Yes, sir. You don't need to go nowhere but to yourself. Yes, sir. There will be a great separation. Yes, sir. So I said, it is on now.
The college is meant to prepare you for your future. That the time dictates that if we don't do something for ourselves as a people, we will be destroyed. And the aim of the enemy right now is to take us out.
We have God with us. We have Him as our guide. Yes, sir. We don't have to stand around here and ask the question, what must be done? Yes, sir. Get up and let's go and do something. Yes, sir. We cannot sit down. We cannot lay down. Yes, sir. We must get up. Yes, sir. And go to work.
Do you know what real joy is in life? Visioning something and bringing it into reality. That's real joy. Do you know what the next step in joy is? Behold how good and how pleasant it is for brethren to dwell in unity.
Tonight, you need to fasten your seatbelts. We're going to hear from some of the greatest minds in the world. I don't know about you, but I'm tired of trusting our future and the future of our children into the hands of those who don't love us. I believe we need to revitalize Black leadership.
We're back and you're tuned into the Mind of an Entrepreneur show. I'm your host, Sajdah Wendy Muhammad. Look, I just want to say to each and every one of you who are entrepreneurs, before we get into our topic, keep going. I was doing this podcast when nobody was watching. It was just me in my bedroom in my condo in Chicago, just saying what was on my spirit. And so a lot of times God will give us inspiration for something. And while we're waiting for the big boom, you just have to follow the instructions, right? People are going to have something to say like, oh, this ain't nothing. Your little drawings ain't nothing. Your little business ain't nothing. Your little this, your little that. Keep going. Because let me tell you something, we in a fast moving world, all it takes is one contract. All it takes is one deal. All it takes is a wink and a nod from Almighty God, Allah, and your life, your product, your service, your situation will turn around overnight. And so every time you get discouraged, and I don't know whose word this is, but something just told me to come back after break and say this to somebody. Every time you get discouraged, just know that what you want is so small in terms of what Allah can do for you. And all it takes is a small wink and a small nod from Him in your direction, and you will outpace everybody who is looking at you and doubting you. All right. So, anyway, we back. Okay. You just watched a commercial on the Mo Today Black Muslim Business Directory. This is where integrity and creativity meet. This is where some of the best and brightest emerging new market leaders and industry disruptors are being showcased. We are committed and focused entrepreneurs who profit with a purpose, introduce much needed goods and services into our communities, and who understand that doing for self is the solution to most of the problems in our community. So go to blackmuslimdirectory.com to add your business today. We are in the process of rebuilding the site. We had some old stinking virus and some of your thumbnails were erased. So if you are a member, we ask that you go back out there and replace your thumbnail with your new logo. This is more than just a business listing service. We offer business coaching and consulting, promotions and interviews to help highlight your businesses. We've been doing this now with a different Black Muslim business almost every week. We have over 500 affiliated Black Muslim businesses. That is enough to change the economic landscape if we're strategic. Networking, we offer networking, referral services, and access to a circle of influence that will help your business grow and thrive. I literally pretty much pulled an all-nighter last night because I started working with the developer who had sent me back a bunch of notes, and I didn't see it till like 10:30 or 11. So I might be dragging a little bit because I was just so excited to revamp this site and to continue this movement. But like I said, we're rebuilding the site to accept advertisers. So you're going to want to make sure you upgrade your thumbnail to be a companion with an app so that as you travel around the country, you know where to go to get clean food and be treated a certain way. And in 2024, we have quarterly networking events set up, and we will be bringing this show to you, to your businesses. So thank you all for your patience. You'll be receiving an update email soon, reminding you to go out there, update your thumbnail, add your listing. Sister Rahima, who is also my show coordinator, along with Sister Aletha, who is assisting with managing the directory, will be reaching out to you. So we'll be back to talk to you more about the directory later. Thank you again for your patience. If you have any questions about it, just stick them in the chat. All right. So I don't see any questions. Wa alaikum salam. I see you. I see you. All right. Now let's get into our topic today. I did a show that I believe is posted on Spotify where I broke down cancel culture. Go check me out on Spotify, Sajdah Wendy Muhammad. We will be uploading some more shows to Spotify over the weekend. I also did a show that is posted here on the Sajdah Wendy Muhammad YouTube channel that you should have already liked and subscribed to. And that show is, I'm referring to the data-driven economy. All right, now watch this. Being marginalized is a term used to describe a person or group's position in society or within a subgroup of society. This concept of being pushed outside the group can happen anywhere. Okay. It can happen in your sorority, in your school, in your church, in your mosque. It can happen at your job. It can happen in your neighborhood. See, and something I said in my book, and if you don't have my book, please go out on Amazon and get a copy of this. I don't know when I'm going to be putting out part 2, but so much of this is so relevant to what we're experiencing here today as entrepreneurs. So yeah, get a copy of this. It's also available in French. So those of you, for example, in Senegal or Cameroon, you can also download the ebook in French, but get a copy. These are great gifts for the holidays. You can go out here on Amazon, buy up 2 or 3 of them, give them away to young entrepreneurs. But in this book, I talked about marginalization as an equal opportunity offender. Watch this. What if being marginalized was a good thing? What if being marginalized was a part of the mathematical equation that is now producing emerging market leaders and industry disruptors? What if those in power know that? And what if they invented cancel culture as a way to maintain control of all the variables in the equation that threaten to change the end result? Which y'all think? Possible, right? All right, we're gonna get into this a little bit more. I didn't put my little short person cushion on the chair, but it's all right. Look at this in mathematical terms. I want you to listen closely. Now, I don't have to tell you about systems that are set up to keep marginalized people outside the circle of influence. Painful and murderous systems that create biases against certain groups are now being exposed and dismantled. We've been talking about healthcare disparities and disparities in the systemic biases in the justice system and the educational system. A lot of that stuff is being exposed and dismantled, primarily not because we're just exposing it like we did in the 60s, but now we're doing for self, building our own schools, having our own attorneys, building our own hospitals and healthcare systems. The dissatisfaction and pain of these marginalized people that are impacted by these systemic biases is now being communicated across social media and other forms of communication that allow information to be exchanged at a faster pace. Many of you have heard me state that in the lessons given to us, given to the Honorable Elijah Muhammad by Master Fard Muhammad, it is stated that our mind travels at the average rate of 24 billion miles per second. Let me take a sip and let that sink in. The average rate of 24 billion miles per second. Then there's a question that says, how many times can you get to Pluto and back? I'm paraphrasing for the purposes of this discussion here. You do the math. Figure out how far Pluto is, how many miles away Pluto is from Earth. And you already know you can go 24 billion miles per second. So that'll tell you how fast and how many times you can get to Pluto and back. You do the math. So if you can get to Pluto and back that fast in your mind, okay? Some of you may not believe that premise. I believe it. It's part of my belief system. You can get to Pluto and back that fast. How much more powerful, how many more things can you do with your mind? So the exchange of information is being exchanged faster, which changes the speed with which feedback occurs, which accelerates results. So your mind is traveling fast, and now the mind travels, or the travels of your mind, the places your mind is taking you, you're now communicating that on social media, and it's moving fast. It's no longer quiet in a vacuum. And from an economic standpoint, that becomes the basis of an economic system that now is manipulated by information. Information can change the algorithms and impact the entire economy. See, because let me just say this, because back in the day, information didn't travel this fast. It took a minute. They emancipated the slaves, and it wasn't until 6, 7, 8 months later that a lot of people even found out that they weren't slaves anymore. That's why we got Juneteenth. So I'm saying to you that this accelerated transference of information is critical and is changing the game. This means that it's creating more byproducts, right? I pulled this statement below from one of my old statistics books. And this may be too deep for some of you, but I'm going to say it anyway for those who understand. This is a very mathematical and statistical statement that I'm going to read here for you. Y'all all right? Everybody okay? I see y'all in the chat. Welcome, assalamu alaikum, and wa alaikum salam. All right, here we go with this mathematical statement. It's from one of my statistics books. Although it requires, and as I read this, I want you to think about the mathematical impact of the rapid speed with which our mind travels, the impact of our mind, and the impact of us transferring our mental thoughts and images through social media in a rapid fashion. And I want you to mentally compare and contrast that to the way things used to be, maybe back in the day when somebody could say something, but the impact took longer to take effect. This delayed impact put the business people in a position where they could develop strategies based on the information that was put out, because you had to call somebody, you had to see it on a television. And so now they develop entire systems and mathematical statistical algorithms based on not only the limited information that was out there, but the slow speed with which information was exchanged. Now, check out this mathematical statement. If you don't understand it, go back and listen later. Look, although it requires some algebra on the joint probability function, a pleasant byproduct of the required calculations is the posterior expectation of the marginalized variable, which is often the quantity of interest for a model. And just break that down for a minute. You have an algebraic equation that is mathematically put together by the economists based on information that's put out there and based on the assumption of how you and I think and act. And then that becomes a byproduct that then is sold. So there's expectations attached to the behavior that are being marginalized have produced. Okay, so when statistics are being used to create business models, there are certain variables that are relevant to the equation. See, those that invented this data-driven economy thought that they would be the only ones talking, or that their voices would be the loudest. You all been hearing me post something that's been really important to me lately, where I said, liars have been talking loudly. Greed has been talking loudly. And I was listening to Marianne Williams and I heard her say this, but I took it to another level. Hate has been talking loudly, but love has been whispering. Love now has to stop whispering. What is love? Love is freedom, justice, and equality. That has to stop whispering. Okay. So when statistics are being created, like I said, used to create these business models, there are certain variables that are relevant to the equation. See, those that invented the data-driven economy thought that they would be the only ones talking, or that their voices would continue to be the loudest. They learned in the 70s and 80s how to use electronic media to control behaviors. And it worked. And it has worked for decades. Now that people have access to more information, they are reacting in many different and unpredictable ways, which then means the people are less controllable. And then it means that the algorithms may not work. So now they have to come harder. They have to use stronger tactics that produce emotions that paralyze you. So they got to use fear. They got to take away some of your rights. They got to use a consistency that makes you worry. See, because now these marginalized, dissatisfied groups of people who have the desire for change in their DNA, people whose divine desire for change is creating new markets, new products, and new services. That's why I realize that I'm no longer here to serve marginalized people per se in business, but to be of service to those new emerging market leaders and industry disruptors that are multiplying and reproducing all throughout the global economy. All right, now let's go to another commercial and come back and talk about the consumer psychology of Black people. Somebody put that in the chat. The consumer psychology of Black people, which is now an algorithm that big business has capitalized upon for decades. And guess what? When that consumer psychology changes by as much as a mustard seed, mountains are being moved. What are those mountains in a sense? I'm talking about shifts in wealth and revenue. Before we go to commercial, let me remind you of our call to unity and pooling our resources. All right. I want you to like and subscribe to the page and just come back. Stay tuned, and we're going to keep talking about this is powerful.
This is Sister Sajdah Muhammad. We are proud to announce that the Sajdah House commemorative Elijah coins are finally here. As we renovate and restore the former home of the most honorable Elijah Muhammad, we have recycled the old copper gutters and downspouts and created a 1-ounce 39-millimeter coin made of 100% pure copper. Each coin is professionally graded and has its own barcode and registration number. This priceless heirloom, made from recycled copper from the messenger's home, is now available at sajdahhouse.com.
We're back and you're tuned into the Mind of an Entrepreneur show. I'm your host, Sajdah Wendy Muhammad. I'm an international real estate and business developer, a global and spiritual thought leader, and an urban historic preservation. I help build many companies. I built over $250 million worth of companies in corporate America. Now I'm helping people that look like me build their businesses, become emerging market leaders. I can sit on your board as an advisor. If you want to book me for a personal consultation, go to the link in my bio and set up a personal consultation, whether you need some personal coaching on money psychology, emotional intelligence, whatever, or if you want me to help you solve a problem in your business, if you're trying to scale or expand. Just click the link in the bio and go there and book your consultation now. If you book one consultation, I'll give you another one for free. So at this point right now, with the way the schedule is, you can get 2 for 1. But you know what? My most important thing that I am is I'm a believer. Now, before the break, we talked about the pain of marginalization and the speed of the exchange of information that is producing emerging new market leaders and industry disruptors. People who are introducing much needed goods and services into their communities, and people who are rejecting products and services that are predatory in nature, like food with ingredients that you can't pronounce. Most of us have given up eating plastic foods, right? Systems that favor one group over another, healthcare disparities, police brutality, food deserts, and more. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad gave us an economic blueprint that addresses those issues. If you go back and check out the episodes I did on the accomplishments of the Muslims, you will see how I break this down in detail. The basis of his economic blueprint was to focus on the needs of the people. He gave us orders regarding our morality and laid the foundation for how we must conduct ourselves and contribute to society, but most importantly, how we must build and do for self. That is the ultimate way to gain respect. Now, I mentioned, y'all all right in this chat over here? Okay, I see y'all. Y'all all right. Now, I mentioned that the consumer psychology of Black people has been the engine that has fueled many industries over the years. The spending power of Black people in America is right now estimated at around $1.6 trillion. And I'm going to tell you something, it's probably more than that, because usually with most things pertaining to us, the numbers and the counts are not 100%. They say we make up only 14% of the population. I believe it's more than that as well. But since 2000, the African American or Black market has seen a 114% increase in buying power. Is this, listen to this question good, type this in the chat. Is this because we are earning more money or because more money is being made off of us? All right. Like and subscribe, because this is the kind of stuff we start to unfold and expand our mind here on the Mind of an Entrepreneur show. And we all know that a mind once expanded can never contract. Check this out. According to the Joint Economic Committee study, The Economic State of Black America in 2020, the average Black family earns a fraction of what the typical white household earns. We all know that, right? We earn just 59 cents for every $1 earned by the typical white household. I don't even want y'all to get caught up on those statistics, because with the way things move so fast, you don't have to be in that negative number. But look, the yearly income disparity between Black and white households is about $30,000 a year. This disparity is low income indicates that Black people are subjected to discrimination and have less chances. We all know that too, right? Yes, there has been some income increases, but income of all Americans has actually increased as well. According to the U.S. Census, the real median earnings of all workers, including part-time and full-time workers, increased by 4.6% between 2020 and 2021, while the median earnings of those who worked full-time year-round decreased 4.1%. Okay, so why has more money been squeezed from the Black community? That's what I'm getting to. If we technically don't really have more earnings, or we're being outpaced when it comes to earnings, why has our spending grown? And how has the U.S. economy been so heavily dependent upon the consumer psychology of Black people? Think about that. All right, now check this out. According to Huffington Post, African Americans rank second among every consumer group in the nation. Meaning we making the least amount of money, but we second in consumer spending. Think about that. That's huge. Then Nielsen came out with a report that's called "It's in the Bag: Black Consumers' Path to Purchase." And the report was released, and it highlights how media engagement, spending habits, lifestyle interests, and more economic advancements have made Black people a key population that helps stimulate the economy. But yet, our earning potential is lagging behind. You see, because what they've done is they have now created algorithms that model the consumer psychology of Black people. Translation: if you want to make money, go to the hood. The hood today meaning capitalize on Black culture. See, many immigrants who migrated to the U.S. knew that opening up shop in the Black community was a very fast way to earn economic independence. But you don't need a study to help you see that the majority of businesses that exist today in Black urban communities are not owned by Black people. I don't need that, and I'll talk about this a little bit. Well, let me say this first. I want to give you an example because a lot of people have a hard time conceptualizing this. There's no shade on no culture. I'm just making an observation. You see Chinese food restaurants in our community. Many of us like Chinese food. We like Asian food. But you don't see soul food restaurants in the Chinese community, for example. There's no shade. It's just the truth. Did you know that Chinese food is the most consumed cuisine in the United States? Look it up. Of all the cuisines, Mexican, Italian, Chinese food is number one. How much of that data is driven? How much of that fact is driven by the fact that there are Chinese restaurants and have been Chinese restaurants in our hoods for decades? Things that make you go, right? You see more Chinese restaurants in our neighborhoods than any other neighborhood except in their own neighborhood. This is a very loose example of how we impact industries through our consumer spending. We done made this cuisine, and the ones in the hood a lot of times aren't even that good. But we've made this cuisine the number one cuisine. And I bet you if there was a study that talked about who eats the most Chinese food, I think those statistics would be staggering as well. So now you got to ask your question, who owns the liquor stores? Who owns the beauty supply stores? Who owns the grocery stores, right? See, our spending is driving behaviors. And now that many of us have moved out of the hood, there are other methods being developed to help capture our spending dollars. We're not confined or redlined to the hood anymore. So the hood now is a mindset. And that mindset has been interpreted into, or much of that mindset has been interpreted into mathematical, statistical, and algorithmic equations that model the consumer psychology of Black people. Because we are among the largest group of consumers in the US. Then our culture is used in advertising not only to target us, but to influence the minds of people who like our culture. See, it becomes trendy to act Black, to be cool, to dance like Black people. If people feel like they jamming, they figuring out how I'm going to dance like a Black person. That becomes trendy. That becomes a thing to do. Act Black. So now that makes all these other cultures fit into that algorithm. I hope y'all feeling me. So then our culture is used in advertising, not only to target us, but to influence the minds of people who like our culture, who have bought into the fact that Black is cool. And so in order to be defined as cool, you got to act Black, which then impacts their spending habits and patterns, right? Because they want to dress urban, dress Black. So the trends in our community that influence fashion, music, dining, behaviors are translated into dollars. Let me know in the chat if y'all hear me. See, check this out. Let's bring this to modern day. This is why, for example, and there's no shade against nobody, but we just talking. This is why, for example, that when Adidas dropped the Yeezys, they were expected to lose $246 million in profit by the end of the year after cutting ties with Ye. See, this data-driven economy has always been there. You have financial gurus and CEOs who come on television in the morning, and if you're like me, you like watching them. Like some people watch sports, I watch the sparring about the economy. They come on television, make predictions that influence the markets. They have influencers. And our economy has been driven by data for a while. But now The loud voices of dissatisfied Black people whose consumer psychology has been used to influence spending is now threatening the profits of Fortune 500 and other major companies throughout the world. And those of you who have bought into Black is cool and you buy Black and act Black and roll like you Black, but you might not be Black, you're impacted by that as well. See, many of you are saying, yeah, but $246 million is nothing to a company that earns $1.6 trillion in profits. But check this out. A small percentage drop can cause a company's stock to fall. Adidas stock price was trading at $144 per share at the beginning of this year. Since then, their stock has decreased by 48.5%. See, their trouble with the Yeezy brand has impacted their stock. Now that they have dropped Yeezy, the stock has plummeted. They had to make a major move in order to get the market to start to bubble and potentially respond more positively. And they saw some jumps in their stock since this drama happened. And let me read this to you. Let me find it. I don't know if you guys know Motley Fool. They do financial news, but according to the Motley Fool News Insight, I'm going to read this from Motley Fool. Confirming media reports, Adidas said that it is in talks to make outgoing Puma CEO Bjorn Gulden its next chief executive. The company has said in August that current CEO Casper Rorsted would step down next year, ahead of the 2026 end of his contract, coming as Adidas has struggled, faced weak sales, controversy over its relationship with Kanye West, and poor performance in China. The move represents something of a coup, as Puma is Adidas's longtime rival. See, Ye done shook them up that now that's kind of subject to a little bit of a coup. In fact, the founders of each company are brothers. Gulden has said recently that he would step down as CEO at the end of the year, but had not given a reason. A new CEO, they're saying, could breathe some much needed life into Adidas, and Gulden is well regarded for executing a turnaround at Puma. See, they had to bring in the turnaround team after they fell out with Ye. You think you don't influence? Let me finish reading this. It says, even after some gains after they made this announcement, they had some gains, right, in the stock price. Adidas shares are down more than 2/3 from their peak last year, and performance has been weak. In its third quarter earnings report, the company reported currency neutral growth of just 4% and cut its revenue growth guidance for the full year to mid-single digits. Adidas is likely to face a significant write-down. Look that up. When the company experiences a write-down, y'all already know write-down means that the valuation of the company is going to be written down. Adidas is likely to face a significant write-down after ending its relationship with Kanye West, and it will no longer sell Yeezy products. A turnaround won't be easy, but bringing in new leadership is a start, and this seems like a good time. Blah 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 blah. So now let me tell y'all. Let's break this down. It's not just big celebrities like Yeezy can make this type of influence. See, remember, what were we taught? Let me say it like this. A slight change or a small percentage in your consumer psychology can change the face of a Fortune 500 company. This is why I believe that the instructions of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad are so important. He told us that our unity is more powerful than an atomic bomb. That couldn't be more true today. So I want you to check out my series on the accomplishment of the Muslims, where I break down how his instructions to us are even more effective today in this data-driven economy. I want to remind you to go and study Surah 61 of the Holy Quran, entitled The Ranks. What is the spiritual significance of people being formed into ranks? And how does this impact the economy? Ooh, I think that's a talk we need to have. What y'all think? Listen, conscious entrepreneurs, you got to keep going. We have to develop systems that processes and that processes and do not mimic the predatory capitalist system that has marginalized us for centuries. And I don't want you thinking about, oh, these are billion-dollar companies. We can't get a market share, or making a god out of these people, or seeing yourself through the lens of white supremacy. And that's just not Black people who are now impacted by that. Other cultures who see themselves through the lens of Black supremacy. We're just not afraid on this show to say Black, because at some point somebody has to start the unity in the business world, and you're starting to see that. And we're starting to say, look, let's focus on Black people. If you start paying attention to podcasts, there's so many podcasts out there, like Asset Before Splurging and Earn Your Leisure, and all kind of people, Billy Carson and 19 Keys and Brother Ben X, The Mind of an Entrepreneur Show, myself, where we're saying, look, Black people, it don't take that much for us to get our share of the market. And it will impact these companies who don't treat us right enough that we can then sit down at the table and have some negotiating power. I want you all to think about that. Because we have certain morals, because we know how to conduct ourselves, right? We know how to act. We're going to be more fair. Let me tell you something. These entrepreneurs in the Black Muslim Business Directory are going to be the salvation of the business world. Why do I say that? Because we live in a world right now where people have thrown morals out of the window. They've thrown etiquette out of the window. They've thrown proper handling of people out of the window. But when you engage with us, we are obligated we are held to a level of accountability where we are obligated to conduct ourselves in the right way. We're obligated to strive to make our word bond, to handle people properly, to respect people, to respect authority. See, all the principles that exist among this group of people, you likely are not going to find that in totality in any other group. So now today, the time is to get over the fact that we're Black, get over the fact that we're Muslim, and invest in the fact that we have certain behavioral standards that ain't got nothing to do with you. Ways in which we have to conduct ourselves that ain't got nothing to do with nobody else. So when you call us to the table to sit on your board, when you decide to trade and do business with us, see, we all like to rely on algorithms. There's certain things that you can rely on when you invest in us. And we're going to talk about that more on future shows. All right. Okay. I think y'all got the point. I see y'all reacting in the chat. I think we got the point. But we are investment worthy. We're an emerging market. We're game changers. And we're a breath of fresh air in the business world, where others are focused on dominance and predatory business models. All right, family. So please join in the Mind of an Entrepreneur movement, the manifestation movement. I'm going to be offering some online classes soon, some more webinars. So join my mailing list and stay up to date on upcoming events. Text DO for Self, DO the number 4 SELF to 855-574-9099. We have to make sure that we communicate outside of social media, because you just never know what's going to happen. We have a new platform we're going to be on soon as well. I mentioned to you that some of the audio is on Spotify, but I'm going to tell you what's coming up in the future. You can email me at mindofanentrepreneurtoday@gmail.com. Follow me on social media. I'm on Facebook at Mind of the Entrepreneur, on Twitter at The Authentic You, and on Instagram in 2 places, Mo Today Universe, and Sajdah House. And connect with me on LinkedIn, all of that stuff. And I want you to be sure. Let me put this on the bottom of the screen so you all know how to go and do this. Be sure to order your commemorative Elijah coin pendants. I want you to wear jewelry that matters. Okay. Support the renovation and restoration of the former home of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. Urban historic preservation matters. So much of our history happens on everyday blocks in everyday neighborhoods, and it's important that we preserve it. Let's control our history. Let's monetize our own history. So make a donation by going to sajdahhousedonations.com or via Cash App at Mo Today, Cash App at Mo Today, MOETODAY. No amount is too small. And it's important that we understand that freedom ain't free, and we have to monetize the preservation of our history. So I want to thank you all for listening today. I think this is probably worth us going back and studying. I'm going to think about that subject of how us being formed in the ranks and moving in unity will further impact the general economy and help to cushion us from the fall of the current economy that we're looking at. Okay, so we'll talk about that a little bit in the future. All right, peace and blessings, family. Thank you for joining in today. Make sure you go out, order your commemorative Elijah coin pendants. Look, I don't want to be entertaining y'all email with y'all crying when these are all gone. It's okay, because this is a valuable option. It's a little bit more expensive, but it won't be when you look at it over the course of when you actualize it, actually, because this membership number on the back is going to get you access to certain benefits as it relates to the Honorable Elijah Muhammad House. Right now, we're working to get the house finished. We need you to go make a donation, sajdahhousedonations.com, or just go to Cash App, Mo Today, at MOETODAY. No amount is too small. If you don't have $350 for a coin, we've got some skull caps, some little beanies that are available. Those are less expensive. I think they're like $19. We got some sweatshirts that are out, that nice sweatshirts you all can wear. They have the illustrated drawing of the coin on them. Those are $40. So there's smaller price points for you to be able to support. If you don't have $19 for the hat, that's the lowest price point, then you can always go and Cash App more or less than the 19. But I'm just trying to give you guys different ways to participate, because I don't want anybody to feel like they're being priced out of their participation in this great history. Of course, if you got $50,000, you can send an email and become a sponsor and have your name. If you got as low as $5,000, you can become a sponsor and have your name etched somewhere in history in the house, depending on what you sponsor. So there's all kinds of ways that you can participate as a sponsor. Anything in the $3,000 to $5,000 and up dollar range. As a coin, getting one of these commemorative coins for $500, getting a pendant for $350, which you really need to do this week because we're only going to have 125 of them when they come in. So I would say you get in line and get your pre-order in. Then there's sweatshirts, $40. There's skull caps, $19. You can just send your 10, 20s, and 50s, but we are just really moving and working. And I think it's so important, so important. And I just feel this in my spirit that it's important for those of us who the Honorable Elijah Muhammad gave his life to while he was here. This makes me emotional. On with us for 44 years. He gave his life to us. I think it only makes sense that we finance the completion of his house. So join me in that movement. And I love you all. I wish you all more goodness than you've ever experienced or imagined. Peace and blessings. And take this little bit of inspiration with you.
Muslims, you shouldn't be around here looking to white people to give you a job. Go look in message to the black man and the economic blueprint. And if there are 4 of you, 6 of you, 8 of you together, pool your resources, go into business and set up business all over the south and west side of Chicago. But if you poor and we poor, hell man, we can't be around here poor. I want to see rich Muslims. And if you obey Allah, there's no reason why you can't make a business successful. You just have to get up and stop being lazy and trifling and go do something for yourself.